Hi, I'm Joanne Pickrell. We're here today to announce the formation of the Ohio Action Coalition, the Ohio chapter of the Action. The Action is a national, outside the Washington, D.C. Beltway grassroots campaign in over 20 states. Our goal of the campaign is to ensure that tax fairness is a starting point for any deficit reduction deal struck between Congress and President Obama to avoid the so-called fiscal cliff. Specifically, our coalition will urge Ohio's congressional delegation to raise revenue by ending the Bush-era tax cuts for the wealthiest 2% of Americans, while preserving this tax cut for the 98% of Americans who earn $250,000 a year or less. In a moment, you'll hear from the Coalition's Communications Director, Dale Butland, and he'll explain the importance of raising revenue and how that's an important facet of a balanced deficit reduction plan. Now let's talk a little bit about the Coalition and what we intend to do here in Ohio over the next several weeks. As I indicated, this coalition is a grassroots movement. Our members are comprised of former Obama for America campaign staffers and volunteers, grassroots activists across the state, members of organized labor in the state, and progressive organizations like Innovation Ohio, America Votes, and Small Business Majority. We have hired organizers in key areas of the state and are in the process of hiring additional staffers to put on the ground to organize in their communities. I'll be serving as the Coalition State Director, and Dale Butland, who will be up here in a second, will be the Coalition's Communications Director. Our goal is twofold. First, we want to encourage Ohio's congressional delegation to do what's right and heed the will of the people they were elected to represent on the issue of tax fairness. Second, we want to educate the general public about what's at stake in the negotiations over the federal deficit that's going on in Washington, D.C. now. To that end, Innovation Ohio will release a report next week that will detail what will happen to middle and low-income Buckeye families if Congress refuses to raise revenue to have a balanced approach to the deficit reduction plan. In making our case, coalition members across the state will hold public events, participate in editorial board visits, and participate in radio and TV interviews, write letters to the editor, and also utilize social media to get their message out. We will kick off the Ohio Action Coalition tomorrow with 3 events, one in Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, our event will be at the Gospel Coffee House at 11 a.m. In Columbus, our event will be at the Grass Skirt Restaurant in downtown at 11. And in Cleveland, we'll be at the Cleveland Heights Library at 1 p.m. Other events will follow in every corner of this state over the coming weeks. And this is not only events that the Action will put on, but our partners across the state are also executing their own programs to highlight how this issue impacts either their members or the constituencies they represent. It is a collaborative effort. Our sister organization, The Action, will be holding similar events tomorrow across the state, and you can learn more about that on their website at theaction.org. Finally, let me just say one more thing. When the election ended, many people thought they were able to go home and relax and spend time with their families and go back to their regular day jobs. But it became clear that after the election, the campaign is not over, and the fight for the middle class is far from over. So grassroots activists across the state have renewed their fight, answered the call, and are now going back to work to fight for this issue. And to our members in Congress who represent Ohio, we send a simple message. Respect those election results, put the middle class ahead of millionaires, and end the Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest 2% of Ohioans. And now I'm going to introduce Dale Butland, the Communications Director, to talk a little bit about what's at stake in these negotiations.